The world we live in now is run by corporations, not governments. Oligarchies of the rich and powerful. But that's not going to last much longer.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, they come up here, they're illegal, and they take my job.
Ah, so you pick oranges for a living?
Nope, but I'm sure someone does.
Nope, not true. In fact, I bet you that no white person has ever picked a piece of fruit off of a tree. Ever.
What about Eve?
Eve was not white.
Oh, fuck.
What, you think that the Garden of Eden was in Norway?
Peas, what happens is everything is actually seeking the light of the sun when it's on the planet Earth, right? So that's why you can trick plants when you're doing what do they call it? The micro growth of plants, microgreens and all that. When you're doing that, which is really just picking them when they're young, is what my understanding of it is. But anyway, the point that I'm making is everything is still reaching for the light. Now, the reason why I'm bringing that back in is because you want to turn the sun's energy into a product that is digestible for the physical composition. So to do that, you either getting it primarily through plants, which would be secondary, or you're going to get it through animal, which is going to be on the third level, right? Because the animal's going to eat the plant's going to get the sun. So sun is 1, plant is 2, animal is 3. Okay. Now, then when they go back to the sun, we say, okay, so in all actuality, what everybody is really getting is triple darkness, because the sun is feeding off the triple darkness. Eating up the triple darkness and turning it into sun so they could give energy to the planets. Then the planets are absorbing that. Now they getting it at secondary. You see what I'm saying? How it's growing into itself, and then you get the plants, and then the plants. Now, prove that, though. Well, look, as above, so below, as below, so above. So the primary manifestation to the pituitary gland is the triple darkness within it. That we use as carbon, or they use the term melanated beings. Everybody is melanated, but everybody doesn't have the same concentration of the carbon level like the original people. The more original, the heavier the carbon level. How you can tell how deep the carbon level and how heavy it is hair. The lamb's wool, that's the deepest. The more lamb wool, the more concentrated the carbon is, making it closer to red suns. Because pretty much you want to absorb the triple darkness where the power is really emulating, but you can't absorb it in that form. Peace.
Tough time for the blacks. These are not good times for the blacks. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, right? Police are killing us again. Very unfortunate set of circumstances because we were doing very well. You know, America has a racial hot seat. I think we can all agree that that's the truth. And we can also agree that that hot seat is traditionally occupied by African Americans in general, African American men in particular.
The foundation to evolution is the fact that the original man came from monkeys. See? That's their foundation. That's like with their nexus. That's like their AD and BC. Similar to that in that fashion. So when that religion was made manifest. And who's their main prophet? Darwin. That's their main prophet. So you had that religious practice fighting against the Christian religious practice. And the only way you could believe that it's not a religious practice is if you believe it really is science. Because other than that, it would have to be religion. The same thing with the flat world people. Flat world people kind of act like they're dealing with science when they're doing their measurements. But when you get to the philosophical, theological foundation to what they're saying, it's still based on Christianity. And even the Muslims that's rolling with them, with that same pattern in their teachings talking about flat world. They still basing everything on their Abrahamic religious connotation. You feel me? So that's why when you look at 120, you look at it in threefold. First, you look at it and you say the conversation between W.D. Farad and Elijah. And then you look at it, the conversation between W.D. Farad and Elijah and interpreted by the Father. And then you can see, okay, so this session, this build, this add on to a cipher, right? Culture I God. But culture is also divine, right? Then divine could also be equality, understanding, and then that could be born. So, on that universal truth, the timeline. I know we've been on the timeline a minute, but when you look at the timeline from linear and circle and square and triangle, then this will enable you to see a bigger picture. Like they'll have craft, and the craft will know their exact job, and then they'll have management, and they'll be over the big picture. They're sending everybody to do the task, similar to what King Solomon, King Tyree, and they were like the managers. They would have been the managers in that position, and Hiram Abiff would have been the supervisor, and the three ruffians would have been craft employees. You see, so as they traveling through the first three, that's when they figured out that they only had the substitute to the infallible name. Well, if you only have the substitute to the infallible name, that's not enough to get you across the River Jordan. So, what you must do is travel those last 4 degrees in modern masonry. I'm talking about. In the ancient days, those 7 degrees that they have is really 1 degree. That's really just the first degree. The ancients didn't give them all the degrees like that, because what they did was the ancients would have gave it to them because we not 10%. But once they revealed their hand that they came back to fulfill Yaku's rules and regulations, then the ancients closed the doors on them, and we pretty much, it been on and on. It's been on and popping, and it's been pretty much a physical war and a mental war, social economic war since. Who's going to control the resources, the natural resources of the planet Earth? Are the populace going to control it for themselves the same way animals do? Or are we going to be governed by the strong? The stronger people are going to rule over the weaker people. Because usually the people who do that have what is control as a control freak mechanism. Now with the European, in his endeavors to control the planet Earth, his empires, yes, you can see how many empires he's had. They rise and fall, and then another European tries to fulfill the void, and they just keep going, right? The animal extinction comes to mind. Who drives animals to extinction on Earth? What nation of people do that? You can answer that question yourself. Right, so he's not only attacking or trying to control his European supremacy mechanism, doesn't only kick in for the people of the planet Earth, right? The Asiatics of the planet Earth. It doesn't just kick in for the people of the planet Earth, when we're talking on a large scale, Earth as a whole, right? So Earth as a whole, you must include the atmosphere, okay? We'll take it all the way to the moon. That's our earthly manifestation on the physical plane. And then he wants to have total control over food, clothing, and shelter. So he creates these things in between the food, clothing, and shelter that you must have to receive the food, clothing, and shelter. So he makes you do labor for him, and then he enables you to get wages, and then in those wages you rent or mortgage from him, and you cooperate with the agenda of food consumption, because when corporate America gives you food, sells you food, then that means you cooperated, because they're not. Well, they're doing the farming now with Monsanto, but at one time they weren't doing the farming. The people would bring them food to them, and they would buy it in whole bulk and this, that, and the third. Now they done pretty much took over the whole farming industry. Like corporate America pretty much runs the farming industry. I'm not saying there aren't any private farms, but they're not feeding the people. They're feeding their little communities. Monsanto and all of them are the ones feeding the people. So they're in control of the food. They got mostly everybody in some form or fashion connected to buying clothing. That's shoes, underwear, pants, shirt, dresses, skirts, whatever the case may be. Whatever you wearing, shirts, blouses, tops, bottoms, and all of that, right? They pretty much controlling that market by having the people who do the resources who actually make it, like say the Italians make it, or say the Chinese make it, or say some kente cloth or whatever, and then they go and buy it in bulk from the factories or where the product is being manufactured at, and then they sell it to the people, right? And then you see something like Nike goes to some country outside of the United States, and then they make some sneakers, and then they bring the sneakers to the United States, and they sell them, and they make profit off the sales, right? Because it's not like those sneakers are being made in America with union labor. You don't know what the fuck is going on. It might be a slave camp. It could be made in the prison system, because the prison complex system has slave labor. I mean, they try to say it's not slave labor, but the 13th Amendment says it is. And if you're only making 75 cents, I think they make like 75 cents a month. It's horrendous like that, G. You don't make any money. So, but the point I'm making is they use the Federal Reserve notes in between the actual commodity. Now, once we look at that, let's look at the timeline. 1933, we're not on the gold standard anymore, right? 1972, we're off the silver standard. 1865, 1860, you won greenbacks. Prior to that, just gold and silver is the currency. So you see that timeline. And once you understand what money is and what people don't understand what money is. They think money is Federal Reserve notes. It's not money. Federal Reserve notes is not money. Federal Reserve notes is a note, a promissory to give you money. Money was the ways and means that they used to trade. It was a quicker way of getting things from one point to the next, from point A to point B. Easier to walk around with a satchel of gold than to walk around with a basket of fruit and vegetables. One, they're going to go bad before you can eat them all. Two, you're still going to have to trade off. If you have nothing but apples, you can't live off of just apples, so you might take a couple of bushels of apples and you trade them with your partner for a couple of chickens, and that's how they were doing it. They were doing the trade, but they also had gold and silver circulating. So if someone who didn't have, say, a farm, they might have said, well, I'm going to get currency by my labor. So you need a fence to keep your cows in that position right there that you want them in at night. I'm going to build you the fence. You could pay me in, they might say, pay you in room and board. I'm gonna let you stay here for free. You can eat. I don't have any silver or gold, but I'll pay you in goods, and you can take those goods to the market, and then people will buy those goods from you. Feel me? It's a lot of ways people were making survival and making ends meet and things of that nature, right? They were taking care of themselves. But when government stepped in because when people were by themselves, individual, organized ruffians would get together and take what they wanted from whoever they saw was weaker than them. That was a European thing. Go around taking shit from people. They like to do that kind of shit. They like to take shit from people and say, it's mine now. So we didn't practice that in the Asiatic nations. We didn't practice that because we usually were in places where it was abundance. So you didn't have that need to do that. But in the north, where the Europeans lived at, things aren't in abundance. So they're always competing. They don't have enough women. They're competing for women. And that goes on and on and on. They don't have enough of anything. So they're always competing. So they started acting like that when they traveled throughout the world. But what kicked it off was when they realized the Wisdom Builder Destroy degree and the 1 to 40. Once they realized the Wisdom Builder Destroy degree, they understood that they were a minority and that the rest of the nations on the earth were the majority. Even singularly, they are the majority, right? If we use the color ratio that the European uses today, black, brown, red, yellow, white, you're saying the only ones that can't match him in numbers would be red because and that's if you base it on his C. If you base it on 120, that would put them right in with Hindu and the whole Indian nation from India. That's not really, that's not their name, Indian. That's what the European renamed them, Indians and Chinese. And he named them that. They was calling themselves, they spoke Mandarin, not Chinese. So, you see what I'm saying? Go back to the ancient times. And that's when you know what your ancient ancestors called themselves. In these modern times, they use these phrases and words because that's what he wrote down in a book and said this was the new law. And then everybody started going with it. But, like I said, back on the timeline. When you're going through the timeline from a Christian perspective, you're going to see the first hit you're going to see with organizing of religion from their ancestors would be Zeus, Jupiter, that's another major player and Odin. Now they had some other minor, but those are the major players. Odin was the blonde-haired and blue-eyed ones. The amalgamated tribes of the Mediterranean, they had Zeus and Jupiter. Right? The planets, if you look at your planets, those names that are planets, each planet has a name in these modern days. Right? You got Mercury, Venus, Earth, and on to Mars. Okay, watch this. Shows you the Roman influence. Rome copied their gods from Greek, from the Greece, Macedonians. And the Macedonians copied their gods from the Cometians, who they call Egypt today, Egyptians. That's who they got. That's the way the tree goes. And that came from the other side of the mountains, Kenya and on down into Nubia, Kenya, Ethiopia, and all that. They got all that from there, right? Nubia, all the way across to Morocco, on down the Horn, all the way around. That came from. All of that was developed. All the cities was all over the place. All the way down to the Horn, all the way on the other side, Madagascar. The island was like a resort place. People go there and chill. They wasn't doing a lot of industry there. But, well, I'm using that to show you the timeline of what was going on in ancient times. In ancient times, the original man was circumnavigating the planet Earth, literally. So you already had went everywhere on your planet. You had did everything that could be possibly done. From Mount Everest to the bottom of the Pacific, which they can't get to the bottom of the Pacific Ocean now. They don't have the right mind. See, I'm not going to go all into the physical composition and what it can do and what it can't do. Because you kind of know what the limitations are in your physical body today. You don't know what they were yesterday. Why? Because you haven't lived that style of life yet. You haven't lived inside the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer and the equator for 9 generations, eating, writing, and Zach from Mother Earth, from the ground food, and not having the stress of the European pounding on your brain all the time, coming at you from every angle that he could come at you on. You haven't lived that kind of life, so you have no idea what your physical body can do. But just to show you something, if you look at the physical body of the original man in the wilderness of North America, and you say, look how powerful he is, even though he had to endure all these hardships. Like the other day I was online, and there was a young brother on there talking about a Chinese guy who was trying to tell other people in an interview why he only takes care of Chinese people and why he felt that the black people and the black plight, that they didn't know what they were doing in so many words, because he was saying they've been in this country this long and they haven't accomplished anything. And the brother blew him up. He did. He blew him straight up. And what he said was the truth. But the point I'm making is the way the European has the Asian nations set up. See, they think they running their own shit, but he's really still running it. Behind the scenes, they don't know that they're not really running it. They're doing what they're doing, but you don't have a grip on things because you don't have a grip on the banking system the way he does. You think you running shit. Maybe inside your little wall of China you might be running shit pretty good, but even then he done snuck in there on you, G. And the Japanese, they can forget it. He done swamped their culture all into, I don't know what. He stole all their shit. Their shit is like wrecked after the World War II. They pretty much ain't been doing shit but listening to him. Their children is losing the culture in the whole 9 yards. You see more culture about them on TV than you do if you go to Japan. They like Americans to me, wearing the suits in the whole 9 yards. They ain't forgot their whole tradition. So they gone. In India, in Sri Lanka, India, all that whole area, Pakistan, all of them, still strive to be like a European. The European standard is the going rate right now. If you're thinking of success, they base it on European standards. If you're thinking of beauty, They're basing it on European standards. If you're saying intelligence, IQ, and all that, they're still basing it on the European standards. So everybody's ideology is still in a European base. And when I say everybody, I'm using that loosely because the majority of the people are under his rule, and they do bear witness to what he does and doesn't do. They bear witness to it. Now, of course, there's 15% of the people who don't go with him. But they pretty much were born that way. They just ain't going with it. It's in their DNA. They can't help it. They have that spirit in them. The rest of the people is pretty much sheep. So that makes me also see the conclusion is when there's 30% satisfied and 70% just rolling with it, the 30% is pretty much running shit. If the rulers aren't right and exact, then if the rulers and the rich aren't right and exact, it automatically not right and exact's gonna roll down the hill, and then by the time it gets into the valley, it's gonna be totally poison. If you follow my analogy on that, right? Because like they say in the regular world, feces rolls downhill. It don't roll up the hill. Start an avalanche, it's going down the hill. One little snowball rolling down the hill. After a while, they get big enough, be a snowman, right? So, snowman, right? Young Jeezy and all them, the snowman. But anyway, that just came to my mind. Random thought. But yeah. So anyway, I was saying that the timeline. Look at the timeline. That'll show you where you at. So now that we know that it's not the original man's fault, and I'm not saying that, I'm using that loosely too, because individually you still got to stand on your own square. But as a group, as a nation, you've been catching more hell than anybody else. And that's what that brother was saying about that Chinese guy. He said, you don't really know the black plight. And he's right. The Chinese guy, how could you even act like you know what we've been through? You don't know because you never had to go through what we went through in America and what we still going through in America. They're not riding around in their vehicles shooting Chinese people. They're not. The police ain't riding around shooting up Chinese people. They riding around shooting up black people. That's what they doing. That's a fact. I don't care what you say. If you base it on their theory that they're the superior race, if you're the superior race and we so inferior to you, then why aren't you helping them? See, it doesn't work that way. And if it's the other way around, then we know you're trying to oppress them to keep them from coming up. I'm going to go with the latter because the timeline says that's what you've been doing. You know, everybody wants to say you've been in this country so long, you should have pulled yourself up by your bootstraps. How? You can't pull yourself up by bootstraps if you don't have any boots. See what I'm saying? That's an old saying, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But you look at the world and you look at America and you say, man, they've been putting foot to the black man's ass since 1555. They never gave him a reprieve. What reprieve did you have? You never got a reprieve. They just changed the game. When they say slavery was over, they came up with Jim Crow. When they said Jim Crow was over, they came up with the prison complex system. And then they added on to that with the drug war on drugs and the assassinations of all Asiatics. That's the Messiah. That's FBI shit. Anybody that look like they gonna be the Messiah for the black people, kill them. And they called it what did they say? National security or some shit where they saying it endangers the country. That's why the other Europeans go with it. They tell the other Europeans, if we let these niggers come up, they're gonna change our way of life. So you better let us go settle this shit. And the other Europeans go, well, okay, but just the leaders. Don't get the other ones. We still need a workforce. Now they trying to wipe you out of the workforce too. Because they thinking like, they starting to believe their own hype that you ain't shit. That they put the propaganda out and you started believing the propaganda too. You started thinking you ain't shit. I see y'all standing in front of the liquor stores like y'all ain't shit. But you are shit. You the man. But right now you just don't know it. So you standing in front of the liquor store, you doing whatever you doing, and that's what the youth are seeing. They seeing all of y'all. Because it ain't no real young people standing out there like that, even if they are drinking. But I guess after so many years of drinking and drugging, your body falls apart, and that's what you look like. You be toe up. And they don't be that old, G. They be like 40 and 50. But they couldn't do 10 push-ups if you asked them. And then they still be caught up in white Jesus. So what good did all that liquor do? It didn't even wipe out white Jesus. It is what it is. You can believe it what you believe, but you got Eastern Orthodox, you got the Roman Catholic Church, and then you have the Protestant movement, and then you got the Christian movement in England. England, Britain, Wales, Scotland, all of that. Catholic and Protestant fighting. Those Catholics ain't the same as the Catholics in Vatican. That's a different Catholic under King Henry VIII and all of them kind of Catholic. Remember, that's two different kind, right? What we got, the 551 years, those Europeans are the Christians that we was getting prisoners of war camps from. They put us in the prisoner of war camps. 551 years ago, Christianity got the black people in North America. But the Roman Catholicism got South America and Central America, right? And then I'm not even talking about Africa, what ran all up in Africa, because you got three of them banging them in Africa. You got the Muslims from the Arabian Peninsula banging them from this side, from that side, the right side, and then you got the North coming down. You have all the different Christians coming at them coming down on them. So they was getting hit from that side, from the right side, and the north. The ocean was on the Atlantic side, so it wasn't nothing really coming from that side at them. Then they came up with the transitional slave trade, prisoners of war, and missing in action and all that. And then you started getting hit from the Atlantic side. I mean, you're in a no-win situation. So you have, and it says in the Bible, every nation will be against you. That's why they be knowing that you the true and living, and they just trying to hold you from getting to where you're supposed to get to. But they can't stop it because it was already written that they would be going extra crazy on your ass. When it looks like you about to be freed up on them, they get extra crazy on you. And they do it every time. Every time you have some kind of leader that can galvanize you, the Europeans go extra crazy on your ass. And they try to make sure that leader, that new leader, can't get y'all together. And then the cycle continues. It just keeps going on and on. We just keep getting better and better anyway. And the system is falling apart too, because the planet Earth, like I was saying, the planet Earth, she doesn't like the parasites on her. Parasites is trying to kill her. They might not be doing it intentionally, but they may be doing it intentionally. You never know with these motherfuckers. They be doing some crazy shit. I be wondering if they're doing it intentional, because I look at the scientific teachings in school, and there's no way on earth that those people who study science, who study the fauna, who deal with oceanography, who deal with biology, who deal with anatomy and physiology, those people, that's their trade and their profession. I'm not talking about the legal minds. I'm talking about the actual scientists and doctors, the people who actually deal with the planet Earth on a molecular level. They look at atoms. They look at cells. They see the plankton, whether it's animals or plant. They see what's going on. So how could you see that and then not say to yourself, "Ooh, I'm making every animal on Earth extinct"? Now, the lesson said the reason why They really trying to save their genetic code. They feel threatened by their genetic code because everybody got melanin and they don't. Francis Crest said it, 120 says it, Elijah, Malcolm, Martin. All the greats said that the European suffers from some kind of psychological problem, like he has a low self-esteem, and then he had to build his self-esteem. So to build his self-esteem up, he came up with European supremacy. So that could build up his character and make him feel like he's more than what he is. And then at the same time, he makes everybody else less than what they are. And that made him feel good. And then he has his control freak and also his extinction mechanism. Like to make things extinct around him. Kill it all. Kill them all. Let God sort it out. You know, some shit like that they be saying. What do they call it? Manifest destiny, white man burden, all that old crazy shit they be talking. Now, if you look at the Native American, as they call it today, the Native American, which we all know the black and the brown are the Native Americans, because the original man, the black man from Africa, as they would call it in these modern days, was already in America for thousands of years before the European got here. I'm not going to go all into all of that right now, but that's a fact. You know, if you look into the lesson, it say something like 66 trillion years, because somebody had to be on the other side. Somebody was on this side, somebody was on the other side when the separation took place. But then, okay, that might be a little far back. You might not be able to go that far back. Let's just go back 50,000 years when that move was made, when the Shabazz made that move, right? And go into that 50,000 years ago, change. It is what it is. So, if you're going to say, let's go to anthropological sites. Let's go down there and look at the Olmec heads, as they call them now. They didn't call themselves Olmecs. That's what these motherfuckers think they call themselves. And they tell everybody those are the Olmecs. Anything to make it think they ain't black people. That's all the fuck they trying to do is hide you. So that tells you something is wrong. If all they're doing is, their whole effort is to hide your history. See, that goes with that self-esteem shit. I didn't make no pyramids. I didn't do none of that. I'ma say we did that. There's no way those niggers did it. You see, they had to gas themselves up first, because you remember, Alexander the Great days, they was down there begging us to learn how to give them some kind of colonic flush, because they was eating raw meat. We had to teach them how to use fire. So now after you hooked up your children and made it so they could carry their own self, they just start fucking flipping on your ass, putting foot to ass thoroughly. Now, when they talking about 1555, that's us over here in the wilderness of North America. That's our timeline from 1555 to now, when you was looking at that timeline. That's not the world. They did other things to other spots. That's why I keep bringing up the whole thing, where you get the Nicene Council, you got the Christian king, Constantinople and Constantine. You had 1453 with the Byzantine Empire. You can look into that. That you could see what was happening there. You can look into Alexander the Great, and as they call him, Alexander the Great. Go into the Jerusalem Bible and look at Maccabee and all that. They have him in there too. See, that just show you how the Macedonians weren't. They were amalgamated people. They were an amalgamated people, a miscegenated people. You know? And so then you have that historical event. Then you have the Roman Empire. Even that has a mythology, a legend to it to help build the character of the Romans. That's why they came up with the two twin sons, Romulus and Remus, and they were suckled by a she-wolf. And from them two, they created the Roman Empire. And the Romans were aristocrats, connect themselves to the gods. And the gods were the same Roman gods are the same Greek gods. So we're going to go right to the Greek gods and say Zeus, Athena, right? Ares. See how they keep you, like, you'll see the words jump back and forth. If you go into the zodiac, you'll see some of the words that are used for the Greek gods, Macedonian gods, and the Greek gods, and Troy and all of them. They all had the same gods, pretty much. And Apollo and Athena, all that, right? Ulysses was the earthling. They had contact with the gods and things of that nature. You got Achilles and Hercules. If you look at Spartacus, the Spartans, 300, you hear him say, from the Spartans, they say, we the children of Hercules. That's why we warriors. We his children. So they're descendants of Hercules. You know, see so how they all had their little connection to the gods. And then you had the northern tribes, the blonde hair and blue eyed northern tribe, the Viking tribes, and really that's not what they was calling themselves. That's what they be calling them. You heard Thor one time say, "I'm not a Viking. The fuck are you talking about?" Right? That's funny. He banged him in the head with that though. That was real talk. He's an Asgardian, you fucking idiots. So, I just show you that their gods was Odin, Thor, Balder, that was their god. That Hela, when they in Valhalla, and the Valkyrie, and that was a whole religious manifestation of their culture. Now they call their religion, now they call it mythology, just like the religion of Kemet, they call that mythology now. Now the new gods took over. The new gods would be Yahweh ben Yahweh, Jesus, Isa, Allah. Them was the new gods. Them the new and upstart gods. They was coming in. See Green Book 9. You had Luamang. You had the Confucius gods coming from that side, and the Hindu gods coming from the other side. That's their gods, and they was coming with their gods from their side. And now you got the modern ones. The other ones, they pretty much, the Hindu gods, they still held on to their little Hindu area, but they still have an influence with the Abrahamic gods. You feel me? Okay. And then same thing with China. They still have their Confucius and Tao and all that. They still have their gods, but some of the European influence and some of the Arabian influence is there too, because of what happened back in that timeline on that side after Muhammad and Abu Bakr took all the leaves and made them into a book, and then they said this gonna be the Quran, because the order of the leaves, the order of the pages, Muhammad had received that from the angel Gabriel, what the order would be. That's why the first surah is the 96th surah, which is showing improving king, not cipher, wisdom, Lord, equality, divine God, equality, born equality, which is the knowledge, the foundation. So even then, the angel Gabriel bear witness that 1 and 96 was one and the same. So he made the first surah the 96th surah. Now, back then, they might not knew what he was doing, but he was showing and proving. That's what he was doing. They just didn't catch it. But we know now, just like we also know equality, born knowledge, cipher. And the knowledge, cipher degree in 120 lessons, the earth is 93 million miles away from the sun. That just makes you see matter. Earth, equality, the two moons, they are planets, grown and made from the beginning. Even the sun is a planet, the sun planet. And they got little planets rotating around it. And all the sun planets are in this universe, right? The universe is everything, the sun, moon, and stars. That's showing and proving that the universe is not the triple darkness. Darkness is the limit of space, but it's not the sun, moon, and stars. It's the triple darkness. The triple darkness is there, but the sun, moon, and stars are inside of the triple darkness. The triple darkness is not inside of the sun, moon, and stars, even though it is, but it isn't like that. So The sun, moon, and stars are inside the triple darkness. So that's still a timeline. At the end of the day, that's still a timeline. You're looking at the universe, but they try to give it to you in their timeline in a what they call an evolutionary state. That's another religion. In Roman times, the state religion was Zeus or Jupiter, depending on what your language was. And that was the state religion. So the state religion today is what? Evolution. That's what's in the schools. I don't mean it's right and exact just because the devil said it is, and he give you his little proof, and he make his line, his timeline, and he say this is what happened. You don't gotta believe that shit. Get the fuck out of here. That shit don't compute. Okay, then you got that other religion with the flat world people. The flat world people are still Christians at the end of the day. That is a religious base. There's a dome over the earth. It's in the middle of the universe. The whole nine, that's still religion, G. At the end of the day, that's religion. It's a religion. That's why you can't argue with the flat world people. Why would you argue with people over their religion? That's like saying to the Muslims, arguing over Allah and Muhammad. Or the Christians, you arguing over Yahweh and Yahshua. Well, they don't even use those names. You gotta go into high order Christianity to even know that it's not really called Jesus. Are you serious? Nobody used English in those days. So if you walked up to him today, but it's yesterday, and you say, "Hi, Mr. Jesus," he won't even know what you're talking about. If you're talking language. Of course, with his omnipotent power, yada, 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 he may understand it. The future, you dumb motherfuckers, rename me. So, okay, I know you must be trying to holler at me, but at the end of the day, my man, that shit don't make fucking sense. It doesn't. It's not compute at all. So, anyway, but you could do what you do with it, and you have what you have, and give it your faith and all that. So, each religious body has what they consider to be what they think is the absolute truth. And they take it from there, and they go and they do what they do. But at the end of the day, they still going to a job, getting some money, coming back, paying their rent, so they can have shelter. They going to the grocery store, so they can have food. You feel me? See how he got the natural resources in his pocket? He owning you, son. He owning you. All right, now that you know he's owning you, how do you get him to unown you? All right, that's no great effort to make him unown you. It's just the only big part is everybody has to do it, but the majority have to do it. If the minority are doing it, which they're doing it now, they call them knowledge of self people. They're going against the system. That's why they say it's knowledge of self, because knowledge of self is not with the system. If you with the system, you pretty much don't got knowledge of self. But if you going against the system, you have knowledge of self. And we're not against the government, because the Father said we're not against the government. We're not trying to come at them. No, that's not why it goes against them automatically. It goes against them because they not right and exact. If they was right and exact, they wouldn't have pork on the market. Damn for sure wouldn't have it the way they have it. It's bad enough you eating it, but the things that they do to those animals before you get them is what makes it not right and exact to the next level. Outside of the religious connotations that Jewish people have, that Christians have, that Muslims have, that the Hindu have, because they don't kill the cows, and that the Chinese people, how they see it, and how everybody see it is one side. But how the governments of the world allow the people to deal with it, or how they allow their employees to deal with it, is another thing. So if you got knowledge of self, you can't help it. Right and exact can't stay with not right and exact. Let's look at right and exact. Right and exact say, the dietary laws say, we don't eat no swine. That's the basic dietary law. We don't eat swine. But the actual dietary law is, you actually don't eat carnivores. You don't eat omnivores. You don't eat scavengers. Because most scavengers and carnivores, they kind of deal with Karen. The next level is they not killing to make animals extinct. If they are killing animals to eat them, they're eating the animals that get their energy from plants. Because plants get their energy from the sun. You really just trying to get sun energy is what you're really trying to do, but you just can't absorb it fully. Like you could sit in the sun all day and you black man, you're gonna get vitamin D, yes. And we use black man loosely. That's the original people. When I say the black man, believe me, I'm talking about black man, woman, child, the whole original nation, Asiatics across the world, black, brown, red, yellow. That's Asiatic. You got Europeans, you got us. We don't mind living with the European in peaceful means, but the European don't want to live with us in peaceful means. And that's why it's not that we against the European or anything. We not against him. We not trying to come for him. But knowledge of self puts you in a position that you can't go with it. I'm not going to go into knowledge of self tells me that the public school system is a fucking disaster. It's not teaching the children right and exact. That the Europeans' public school system is designed to make the Asiatic children feel inferior. And that the prison complex system is pro-homo. Because if it wasn't, they would be letting those people have some conjugal visits. No man can go that long without a woman. It's in your nature to be with her. Well, that tells you right there, they trying to push homoism. Because the penalty, when they gave you a penalty, and they said we're going to incarcerate you or whatever the case may be, nowhere in the books does it say, but you still won't be able to get with your woman. You're incarcerated for the crime that you did. It wasn't a sex crime. So why are you getting, everybody gets the sex crime part hit, even when they didn't do a sex crime. They don't let you have no sex. But they will let you fuck a man in the ass. Or let a man suck your dick. Or something like that while you're in prison. They do it. They let you do it. So that means they are pushing the effeminization of men. They're pushing it. Because if you ain't pushing it, then why you do that? Just look at the holy books, as people call them, the holy books. Well, in those books, high science is in those books. No matter how you look at it, you can't deny that when you read the book, you say, yes, it's a religious fact to it, but that's because man makes it religious. But the actual information in those books is off the chain. All right, so based on that, and plus just based on your own inside, you know something ain't right and exact, and something is right and exact. Now, we're not going to the level where we're saying what people should do in their own privacy, their own home, and they're consensual adults. But the shit that's going on in prison is not consensual. It's forced upon the people. The people do what they do in there. I already got crime, I'm already locked up. They already serving their time. Why do you make it like a torture chamber? Like it's almost like you see how the prisons are being run? Imagine what they were doing to you when they thought you was a slave. They doing the same shit that they doing there, making you do all kind of crazy shit. It's really crazy in the penal institution. You think Nam was off the chain? Well, go to jail. That's why motherfuckers was like, well, you want to go to jail? You want to go to Nam? And he was like, I go to fucking Nam. Fuck it, because that's how it is, and it's already set up to make the different nations, black, brown, red, and yellow, fight each other. Then you got a whole bunch of men and no women because they separate. They make the women over there and the men over here. And they don't let them interact with each other. And then that's what creates this problem. And then when they come out, they're damaged. They're not rehabilitated. Other countries try to rehabilitate people when they do crime. America just says you're a criminal the rest of your life. Even on TV they call you convict and all kind of other shit. You seen Amanda Waller, how she was acting. That's America. Just because she was black don't mean she wasn't a bitch. See what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. That's how America really is running. The surface America is what the people see in the fucking news and all that bullshit. The real America is what we know is going on. That we know that when the police pull up in back of our car, we saying to ourselves, shit, I hope your will is together because it could be a bad decision going down. These crazy motherfuckers, you don't gotta do nothing, G. You can just be a black man and you ain't did nothing. Doesn't matter. You might still catch a bad decision. Shoot you. Right in the back of your head. Dumb motherfuckers don't even wait till you turn around. They not even good cowboys. Cowboys say you can't shoot a man in the back. Remember? A dead man's hand? I don't remember what it is. I think it's eights and aces or some shit like that. 2 aces and 2 eights. Because that's when he died. But he died because another white man shot him in the back. Just like Jesse James and the Youngers and the Unger brothers and all them. Jesse James, he didn't go down with a real fair fight like a Doc Holliday type fight. No, that motherfucker shot him in the back. That's how they roll. So if they shoot their own people in the back, you know they'll shoot your ass in the back. Let's go back to the remedy. Because you always got to have a remedy, right? And you didn't told us everything. What's the remedy? The remedy is knowledge of self or fix it right away. I know everybody be saying, damn, why isn't that's too easy? No, it's not really easy. Once you quote your lessons, then you got to show and prove them to your what? Self. But you can take them on face value. Just that makes it easier that you got to go out and show and prove it now. Once you know that 120 is right and exact, then you go and you find the proof of it being right and exact instead of trying to find the proof of it not being right and exact. Who does that dumb shit? Don't listen to those motherfuckers that's telling you that. They agents. You're supposed to say, whoa, 120 is right and exact. Now you hitting them in the head. So, now once you came to that conclusion, and then you know that once you finish that part, then the next thing is you got to get a trade or a profession, right? Once you got a trade or profession, then you could go into those plus degrees where Elijah have how you use your trade or profession if you want to run your own business or you want to work for America. You could kind of make your choice. How you going to do it? You going to work for corporate America because right now black people ain't got it together yet, and I'm not going to really be able to do it that way until we get it together. We're going to keep rolling this way because you got to have a remedy. Like, what could we do right now since they ain't got it together and we really can't rely on opening a store and putting it in our black neighborhood because our black people are so confused right now. They might still go to the white man's store and not go to your store just because you black. I ain't going to help that nigga get rich. They'll say some shit like that. Or there's always some other shit on the other side too. Sometimes people have black businesses. They say they open up at 9. They don't get there till 11. What kind of bullshit is that? So shit like that. We got damage on both sides. But don't blame yourself. The devil, he groomed you to be a Negro. He did what he did from 1555 all the way up to now. And that's why mostly up to around 1969. Pretty much after that, he didn't really have to do much except for make the prison complex system. He was pretty much on automatic pilot by then. And but 120 takes you off their automatic pilot. If you let 120 be the automatic pilot, hell, you took the devil shit for face value. All these years, you might as well take 120 on face value. What the fuck? It can't be worse than what the devil did. At least it borns you. You getting the real shit. So now, once you do that, then the dietary law is definitely going to fix twofold. You have control. It takes the power out the devil's hand. The dietary laws, where you know that you split hoof and chew a cud, those kind of animals. From the stomach, from the chest up, you eat. From the chest down, you don't eat. The way they're killed. Don't go to the Jewish slaughterhouses. They're a little better at how they treat the animals. They do it different. Them or the halal. Go to them if you want to eat meat, because at least the animal is in trauma. What do they call it? The adrenaline flow, right? So don't go to the European Christians and get their food. Their food is off the chain. They don't give a fuck. Maybe it's okay for them to eat the adrenaline like that. European body chemistry is a little different than yours. They might could deal with that. But you shouldn't deal with it. And even to me, they shouldn't deal with it. Because I know plenty of Europeans, they don't roll that way. Because Jewish people aren't Asiatic, they European. They try to act like they Asiatic, but they not. They European too. You know? Go look at that book, The Coach's Eye Guard. Book 1 and book 2. You're going to see how Jewish people know they're European. Go in that book and look and see the type of racism they did. You know, don't tell me that they wasn't banging us in the head during 1555. Yes, the fuck they were. All those European nations was in on it. Every last one of them was in on it. On that trade. On that slave trade, ship, whatever the case may be. That's right. Go do your research. You say you don't know? Well, anyway, let's get back to the conclusion, right? The trade or profession. When you had a trade or profession, you could make your move. Like I said, you could either have your own business, because you have a trade. You see, when I say trade or profession, think of this. You can go to school and you can get a degree, and then the degree is called a BA. If you go to school and you get a degree and it's called LPN, RN, called medical doctor, pharmaceutical, electronic technician, carpenter. See, those are the kind of trades and professions you want. They have a name to them. When they have a title to the degree, then that's the good one to get. Now you can either work for yourself or for corporate America. But if enough of us keep doing that, it automatically change. Then we can start dealing with, also at the same time, we can start dealing with our community. We don't have to deal with saying we need to find a community. We already in a community. We'll be in a building. We don't organize. The building should be organized. All the people should be meeting up at least 2 times out of the year and just talking. Like, this is our building. We're all in here. We should all know each other. But we don't do that. See, those are the type of things that knowledge of self fixes. At edge, but with him beating you in the head all the time and make you at edge when you don't know what's going on. But once you understand that he made it so that you haven't been successful yet. So when other crackers in different nations, like when the brother was talking about that Chinese guy, he might even been Korean for all I know. But or Japanese, or whoever he was. It was one of the Asian nations. He had the Chinese eyes, or the Japanese eyes, or the Mongolian type eyes. I know he wasn't Philippines or nothing like that, because they're a little darker. And but I know how they think about us, because they say, "Oh, you've been over in this country all this long time, and you ain't did shit." You just basing that on what the European told you. Did you know what he did to us the whole time we've been here? That we have never had a reprieve? Did you know that? Oh, you didn't know that. Was you here when Jim Crow was here? Trust and believe, they might have not even let you in. Say, don't give me a bunch of you-ha-he. We ain't did shit. And we been here this long. You ain't never had a reprieve. And I mean never. He ain't never got it. Except for that little 10-year gap right after 1865. Nigga. Son, trust and believe this. In 10 years, it was 78 what they would call city, townships, and thriving. And when they say a city or a township, that means it was self-sustaining. That silver dollar or that gold bullion traveled in that community 12 to 18 times before it even went out. That is a thriving community. See, we don't even know that we were doing that kind of stuff. But the facts are there. If he left you alone, you'd do it again. But now we know the conclusion is he's not going to leave you alone. He's still going to come for your throat. So now you have to do the next thing too. Going in the military is good, like the father said, because it teaches you military things that you need to know as a people. You need to know what a perimeter is. You feel me? You need discipline. You have to know how to stand on your square. These are the things that you'll learn in the military. And if you're a young person, I'm giving you remedies. Because it's either they got it set up so that they want you to go right into prison. Well, you could offset their shit. I know it works because I've done it on a student. You know that once you get out of high school, you got to do 2 or 3 things. You either going into some military branch, or you going to a college, university, or you going to get a job. Now you say, oh, I'm going to get a job. Yeah, go get a job, and you're still going to need skills. You still need to go find you a trade or a profession. So you should have been thinking about that when you was in high school. When we got knowledge of self, most of us was knowledge. We was in the knowledge cipher degree or the born degree, freshmen or sophomores. Some of us was seniors. Some was just they wasn't in college yet. They in that in between spot where you kind of like just graduated and you're not really in school yet. You still a teenager, 18, 19. So sometimes you got knowledge and stuff like that. So you got it at a younger age where it was easy for you to make a transition. If you're getting this older, you probably already have your trade or a profession. And you're already doing your thing. You're already paying for your bills. You're already good on that level. Maybe. Maybe you're not. So then you're going to use the beginning plan. It ain't never too late. Say you fucked up and you don't know. So still use the knowledge of self plan, because what you're really doing is setting it up for the next generation. You can't be thinking it's just you. You got to be thinking Allah 360 said 9 generations we got to
360
do this.
degrees.
We
Question
got to do
1.
knowledge of
Why is
self for
Allah
9
called the
generations
highest God?
to really take it to the next level. You feel me? Your sperm count, your spinal fluid in your spine will not be the same if you use knowledge of self versus somebody who's a unconscious person and they just eat according to the Western society and what the slave master told them eat. They still eating that way. If you're not doing that, you're not going to be eating that way physically nor mentally. So if you do that, just trust and believe. The convolutions in your brain change, your spinal fluid changes, the cell structure changes, the mitochondria changes, the sperm cells change, the bone marrow changes. These things can be done. Don't take a lot of generations. If 2 generations and it'll change. Like them babies coming out in that next hit, your grandchildren would be different. You can see they already different now. They not right and exact. And your DNA is still trying to fix it. They coming out smarter. They opening their eyes sooner. They moving quicker. They bigger. They're stronger. And they're not even they ain't giving them the right and exact shit. You know the Europeans scared. He say these little people are coming out big as hell. The children today are bigger than the children of yesterday. They're smarter, they're faster, they're quicker. Everything is different. So if that's happening and it ain't right and exact, imagine when he's scared of you. If you get knowledge of yourself, it's a wrap, son. 5, 6 generations down the line, we'll be ready because right now, black people couldn't run the country. If the country fell and it was anarchy, and y'all had to step up to the next plate, a lot of us couldn't do it, G. I'm not saying all of us. I damn for sure could help. But a lot of us wouldn't know what to do. They would be like, like, God damn, this is too much. So if you getting prepared for it's not so much you be prepared for the war Armageddon. The war Armageddon already been on since 1914. You're supposed to get prepared for when the war Armageddon really get thick and it's time for you to make moves. That's why you need those things. You're a man, you definitely need things like that. If you're a woman, your trade and profession should be more going towards your womanhood and how you feel as a woman. I'm not going to go all into what you should do. Just go MGT and GCC and talk to other wisdom bodies and other sisters and shit. And y'all kind of know what y'all got your shit together a little more better than us because y'all kind of communicate with each other. Even though sisters are catty with each other, but they still communicate better with each other than we do unless it's your boy. My nigga better not say shit to me. That's how our attitude is. You feel me? So we're going to grow out of that. With knowledge of self, you will grow out of that as a people. That will go away. And with knowledge of self and the lessons that you use to give you the guide that you follow. Like, even if you said, well, I'm a Christian, I don't got 120. Well, you got a Bible. Stop listening to the devil and his European cohorts. And they telling you, oh, you only need to read Psalms. Job is okay. They'll let you read that. You can read Proverbs. If they deep, they'll let you get into Isaiah and Jeremiah. But most of the time, they ain't letting you fuck with Ezekiel and all of that. But you should be fucking with that. And they're going to keep you in St. John. They're going to keep you in St. Luke. They're going to keep you in St. Mark. And they're going to keep you in St. Matthew. That's where they're going to really keep you at. And then they're going to make sure you get with the letters and the Corinthians and all the little letters from Paul. They're going to keep you in that. And that's where they're going to keep you at, right there. They never going to really say, well, what? Let's go back to Genesis. Let's eat the way they ate in Genesis. Well, let's go according to them laws. No, those laws is too hard. Most of them don't even know what a pepperoni is. Like, what animal is that? They don't know. Oh, it's a pepperoni. I'm getting pepperoni. You don't even know what the fuck you eating. So at the end of the day, we need to take control of the food, clothing, and shelter. Let's see, where are we at? We out of time and we out. Peace.